Hello, welcome back. So it has been a while, and yet I find myself with another one of these. I don't know why this keeps happening, but they just seem to be very accessible, affordable, and exactly what I need when I'm looking for something like this. Anyway, sitting behind me is a 2000 Chevy Camaro, 3.8 liter, just like the last one. 5-speed manual. And this one has been turned into more of a proper race car. It's being built to a spec called T4, stands for Touring 4, and that's an SCCA class. I found this particular one on Craigslist. It had 137,000 miles, 2 owners, and it had actually been very well maintained mechanically with a lot of documentation. It was bone stock, had cigarette ash in every crevice, orifice, and fiber of its interior, but I didn't care about that. It allowed me to lowball the guy a bit, and knowing full well I'd be ripping all of that out anyway. So what have we done? Well, I've put a spec roll cage in it from Rhodes Race Cars. I've done Coney shocks, Strano springs, massive performance systems panhard bar, Powerflex polyurethane bushings, General G-Max RS tires as sort of rollers, intermediates. We have an autocross coming up this Sunday and it's going to be pouring rain, so those will be good tires for that. I did keep the car street legal. I registered it as a special purpose vehicle, so no emissions for me. Done a quick release steering wheel, Sparco seat, Summit harnesses, some custom seat brackets. It's been quite the work in progress, but the way the car's driving now, it really goes to show you all you need to do is spend $2 grand on a car, put six grand in suspension, and it'll drive great. It's also got a custom billet short shifter that's modeled after a Hurst that's no longer in production. Short shifters for the T5 transmission are a little hard to come by. It also has no catalytic converter anymore, just a resonator in its place. But it's still raspy and loud. I still maintain that the 3800 motor is one of the worst sounding, least inspiring sounding motors, but the good news is it's virtually bulletproof. The first order of business was to completely gut the car, strip it out, sell off what interior parts I could to help fund the aftermarket parts. I got the seat secondhand. Steering wheel and hub were new, as was the short shifter and all the performance parts on the car. So I found a mobile welder as well, which made the cage thing easier. And it was a lot less expensive than just taking the cage and the car to a shop and saying, let me know when it's done. This way I was able to help and actually learn a little bit about welding and do the cuts and the mocking up. And so that was somewhat of an adventure. As far as the rest of the stuff, it's really, what I like to call bobo work, bolt on, bolt off stuff. It's also got white line sway bars and end links and poly bushings front and rear. Yeah, so what's left to do is a race alignment, pads and fluid. It has new pads on it, but they're just, AutoZone, Napa, whoever, kind of nothing pads. So for the autocross, I'm going to leave those on and just burn them up a little bit. But when we get a little more serious, make some hawk pads, and maybe even new rotors, as well as top 5 fluid are in order. And then of course, the livery job. I bounced a lot of our ideas around doing art car things and stuff like that, but when it came down to it, I didn't want to spend a ton of time on it, and I kind of worked with the color I got, which was very red. So we have a Marlboro-inspired livery with Camaro in a Marlboro-ish font. Also, it took me a while to find these, but these will be going on. These are an OEM F-body Trans Am wheel, so those will really set it off. In addition to all that, I also made some custom door panels that are completely flat with some red pull straps. That makes room for the door bars and the roll cage. And then of course wrapped the portions of the cage that are going to be near my body with foam. As far as the exhaust goes, from the catback, there's a resonator and a Flowmaster 40 series. I will more than likely end up replacing the Flowmaster because it just brings out the worst in the sound I have a stock muffler from another vehicle sitting around that I may actually put on that looks like it'll fit perfectly, because this just isn't an engine I want to hear more from. Power-wise, at least for the class I plan to be in, other than there is a Can-N filter, just a drop-in, and the free exhaust after the headers. That's all that's allowed. So power-wise, just keeping it serviced and up to date, which it is now. All the fluids are new, and it's not leaking anything. Starts right up, runs great, pulls great, and with all the weight room, frankly, isn't a slouch at all. Gears are a little long. I think I'm allowed up to 323, which I may do. I've heard it's not that insane of a difference, so maybe I won't. But if I feel like I'm never using fifth ever, I may do that. Excited to see how it does. I really have no idea what's going to happen. The weather is supposed to be terrible on the day of the autocross. It's going to be 5 to 10 degrees above freezing and rainy and windy. So not ideal. But hey, we'll see.
Several days later.